All right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Unfortunately, this is my fourth time trying to record this episode. I've had some problems, but that's okay. That means I should have it perfectly scripted out. I should know exactly what I'm going to say. It should be a blessing to your ears. But I'm already blabbing, so let's get started with this episode. I'm going to talk about it in a more general sense, right? My priority has been to talk about first-time buyers, trying to provide helpful tips, strategies, advice, knowledge of how to get started, of how to buy your own home. Now, like I said, I'm going to be talking about that still, but I'd also like to relate this to maybe some of your other goals and to life in general, right? It's a very relevant topic. What is it? What is the topic? We're going to be talking about how to avoid an emotional decision. You know, home buying, starting a new goal, or just trying to go through the struggles and challenges of everyday life. It can be exciting, but it can also be an emotional roller coaster at times. And what we don't want to do is make an emotional decision, right? When we're feeling fired up, whether we're frustrated, sad, upset, angry, whatever, sometimes we try to give into our emotions. We do give into our emotions. And usually when that happens, one of two things occur. Either one, we quit, we stop pursuing what we originally set out to achieve, or two, we make an emotional decision and we do something that maybe we should not have done. Obviously, a problem in many facets of life. So, in today's episode, I'm going to do my best to address that. I'm going to try and provide you 3 solutions to avoid making emotional decisions. So that, in fact, whether you're buying a new home, whether you're working on a goal, or whether you're just, like I said, trying to make it through the day, you're doing the best that you possibly can. You're informing yourself and you're acting in a way that's not emotional, but instead rational. With that being said, let's get right into it. So, what's the first solution to avoid making an emotional decision? Well, first of all, it all starts with education. It all starts with knowing what you're getting into beforehand, right? Everybody knows that the idea that knowledge is power. We hear that all of the time, and it's true. So I think one of the reasons that we feel discomfort, one of the reasons that we feel unprepared, whether we're buying a new home, working on our New Year's resolution, or doing anything else in life, a lot of the discomfort that we feel comes from a lack of knowledge, a lack of being unprepared, right? When you're not sure of what the next step is, it's uncomfortable to try and go ahead and take that next step. Now, obviously, there are times where you just have to go ahead and do it, but there are other times, like when you're buying a home, that you can prepare yourself ahead of time by trying to learn some new things. For example, being a first-time home buyer, it's important that you're knowledgeable and have an understanding of how things are going to progress, how the timeline works out. I think when you have an idea of what it's going to look like, oh, okay, yep, I met with my agent, we've got a search going, we're doing showings. A little bit later on, hopefully we have an offer accepted. We're going through the transaction period or the contract period, however you like to refer to it. Having that knowledge ahead of time is going to help. You don't want to be 3 months into it and then still feel like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what to do next. We can avoid that sometimes. And so take a little time to prepare yourself, whether that's having a buyer's consultation, if you're working on a different goal, trying to study what the first few steps would be. That's always helpful, whether you're trying to traverse through life. Let me think of an example with that really quickly. So how can you prepare yourself for the challenges of life? Well, if you know that something's going to come up, maybe you know that you have to have an uncomfortable conversation, you can practice it beforehand, right? You can think through what you're going to say. When you're prepared, you'll feel more comfortable doing that. So I think of a great example when first time I had to fire somebody. Not an easy thing to do, extremely uncomfortable. It made me want to throw up. It was unreal how sick I felt. It was like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Your mind starts going crazy, all of that. So I thought exactly what I was going to say. And when the time came, I kept it short, kept it sweet, and said just that. And because I had prepared beforehand, although it was still very, very uncomfortable, I was able to get the job done. So that's the first step, right? You can educate and prepare. Next step, something I need to be more cognizant of, is to set realistic expectations. So let's talk about this with home buying. One of the questions that we tend to ask our clients is, when would you like to be moved into your next home? And jokingly, But half seriously, a lot of the times people will say, I would love to be in my new home tomorrow or next week. Well, a lot of the times the process doesn't work like that, right? If you're doing it typically, it can take several months, right? It's a process. So set realistic expectations. And I don't mean don't dream big or don't hope that you can make more progress in a shorter amount of time. But if you have a more realistic expectations, then when 2 or 3 months in, things start to get frustrating, you'll be able to slow down and think, okay, no, this is what I had thought, this is what we had planned for. We're still a good ways into the process, still have a lot more to do. So I think having that expectation is crucial. Sometimes I set expectations for myself, and um, and I get frustrated when I don't achieve them in the time frame that I would like. It's good to have high standards. It's good to have goals, but at the same time, we need to be able to slow ourselves down, take a deep breath, and realize, no, this is just the process. It does take a significant amount of time to achieve this goal, whether it's buying a home, maybe it's a workout related goal, a health related goal, maybe it's a financial goal. All of those things take time, and we need to remember that. So that was the second solution. And the last solution I have to avoid making an emotional decision is to have support, have guidance. It always helps to have somebody to talk to, whether it's somebody who's maybe an equal, and I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. I mean somebody who's maybe in the same boat as you, who's dealing with the same issue. A lot of first-time home buyers are having problems finding homes. There's just not a lot of inventory. So maybe having somebody to talk to and say, hey, this is what I'm frustrated about. And they say, yeah, I'm going through the same thing. Or maybe somebody who's in the position you want to be, you know, somebody who went through the process of buying a home. Maybe they bought a home last year and they say, yeah, it was a struggle for me too. There wasn't a lot on the market back then either. But, although it took a little bit more time, we were able to achieve our goal. And then lastly, there's likely going to be somebody who is knowledgeable in that field, whether again it's real estate goal or just life. Maybe in life it's your parents, right? Somebody who's been through it and has knowledge, has seen a struggler too, and they can share great advice with you. If it's a goal, if it's a workout goal, like maybe you're trying to lose weight or you're trying to put on muscle, you might be frustrated that you're not seeing the results as quickly as you had hoped. Well, having a trainer or somebody that you look up to in the fitness world who says, hey, this is a problem that most people deal with, right? There are some other things we might have to switch up. Maybe we got to do just a little bit more, and then we'll start seeing those results. Having that person will help you. I think the most obvious example when it comes to buying a home is to have a realtor who's been through this process, who's seen, yeah, this is how it tends to go in a market like this. Having somebody who can openly communicate, educate, encourage, and empower you during your time of struggle is going to be so helpful. So again, those are the 3 solutions I had for today's episode. Let me run through them one more time. First of all, if you can educate yourself beforehand, that's ideal. That will help you avoid making an emotional decision. Number 2, having realistic expectations, setting those up at the front. And lastly, having emotional support and guidance, right? I think all of those solutions will allow you to reflect, will help you reflect. They will help you calm down and ultimately make the best decision for yourself moving forward. So that's all I've got in today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed it. Thank you again for tuning in. I like doing these episodes a little more off the cusp. If you do like them, if you prefer them, please let me know. And I'll keep doing them like that. But thank you again for tuning into this episode. I hope you have a fantastic week. God bless and take care.